You earn $85,000 a year. That's more than most households in America. You're not broke. You're not irresponsible. You make good decisions. And yet, when your friend mentions a trip to Colorado, just $1,200 total, you can't go. Not because you don't want to, because after rent, groceries, and everything else, you genuinely can't afford it. How does someone earning $85,000 a year not have $1,200? I'm Arya, and this channel doesn't tell you what to buy or sell. We explain how money actually works, psychologically, structurally, over time. Today, we're looking at a specific financial trap that's incredibly common in the US, especially among men earning decent incomes. It's not about bad intentions. It's about one purchase decision that quietly reshapes your entire financial life for years. We're going to walk through the math, the psychology, and the long-term consequences of owning something you technically can afford, but probably shouldn't. Let's say you buy a new pickup truck, not because you need it for work, you work in an office, but because it feels right. It feels capable. It feels like the kind of vehicle a competent adult should own. The truck costs $90,000. That's the King Ranch edition, the Laramie Longhorn, the one with leather seats and a dashboard that looks like a fighter jet. It's not the base model. It's the one that makes you feel like you made it. You finance it over 84 months, that's 7 years, at 7.2% interest. Your monthly payment is $1,247. That number seems manageable when the dealer presents it. It's less than your rent. It's less than what some people pay for daycare. You convince yourself it's fine. But here's where the psychology gets interesting. You're not evaluating the truck payment in isolation. You're evaluating it against your gross income. You earn $85,000 a year. Divided by 12, that's roughly $7,083 per month. A $1,247 payment is only 17.6% of your gross monthly income. That feels sustainable. Except you don't live on gross income. You live on what's left after taxes. After federal tax, state tax, Social Security, and Medicare, your actual take-home pay is closer to $5,100 per month. Suddenly, that truck payment isn't 17.6% of your income, it's 24.4%. Nearly a quarter of your actual monthly cash flow is already gone before you pay for housing, food, or anything else. You thought you were buying a truck. What you actually bought was a fixed monthly obligation that now determines every other financial decision you make. But $1,247 isn't the real cost. It's just the most visible part. Your truck gets 15 miles per gallon. You drive 15,000 miles a year. At $3.50 per gallon, that's $3,500 annually in fuel, or $292 per month. A sedan getting 35 miles per gallon would cost you $125 per month. The difference is $167 per month just in gas. Then there's insurance. You're not insuring a $30,000 Camry. You're insuring a $90,000 asset. If you total it, the bank loses $90,000. Your collision and comprehensive premiums reflect that risk. That's an extra $60 per month compared to the sedan. Tires. Those all-terrain tires cost $1,800 to replace every 45,000 miles. Amortized monthly, that's $75. Maintenance. Bigger engine, bigger brakes, bigger everything. Oil changes, brake jobs, and routine service cost roughly $100 more than a sedan. Registration and property taxes. In most states, vehicle registration fees scale with value. On a $90,000 truck, you're paying $900 to $1,200 annually. Call it $80 per month. Now, add it up. Truck payment, $1,247. Extra fuel, $167. Extra insurance, $60. Tire replacement, $75. extra maintenance, $100, registration, $80. Total monthly cost, $1,729. That's 33.9% of your after-tax income, one-third, gone, every month, for 7 years. This isn't about whether you can afford the payment, it's about what you're not able to afford because of it. Let's compare this to an alternate reality. You buy a 3-year-old Toyota Camry for $28,000. You finance it over 5 years at a lower rate. Your monthly payment is $450. Payment, $450. Insurance, $180. Fuel, $125. Maintenance, $60. Registration, $35. Total monthly cost, $850. That's $879 per month less. Over 7 years, that's $73,836. That's not a hypothetical number. That's actual cash you will never see again because you chose the truck. But here's what makes this genuinely costly. You're not just spending $73,836 more, you're losing what that money could have become. If you had invested that $879 per month into a basic index fund averaging 8% annual returns, after 7 years, you'd have $95,000. You could buy a lake house. You could take your family to Europe every summer. You could actually own the recreational lifestyle you're pretending to have when you drive that truck to the grocery store. Instead, you're making payments on a depreciating asset that loses $15,000 the moment you drive it off the lot. The truck doesn't just cost money, it changes how you think about money. It changes what's possible. Because now every other financial decision gets filtered through that $1,729 monthly obligation. Mortgage lenders look at your debt-to-income ratio. They want your total monthly debt payments below 43% of your gross income. That truck payment alone consumes 26% of an $85,000 salary before you even apply for a mortgage. You just priced yourself out of buying a home because you wanted to look rugged at the Starbucks drive-thru. Your friends plan a trip. Flights, lodging, activities, $1,200 total. You check your account. You just made the truck payment. You have $600 until Friday. You tell them you're too busy. They go without you. Financial advisors recommend saving 6 months of expenses as an emergency fund. For you, that's $18,000. After the truck payment, rent, groceries, and student loans, you have maybe $200 left each month. At that rate, it'll take you 7.5 years to build that fund, which means for 7.5 years, you're one unexpected expense away from credit card debt. And the credit cards do come. New work clothes, $400 on the Visa. Out-of-state wedding, hotel on the card. Christmas gifts, $800 on the card. Within 2 years, you're carrying a $6,000 balance at 23% interest. You're paying $115 per month in interest alone, money you're giving to a bank for the privilege of having bought things in the past. The truck didn't just cost you $1,729 per month. It created a financial structure where you can't save, can't invest, can't build anything long-term. You're not driving a truck. You're driving a monthly obligation that determines everything else. And here's the psychological reality that nobody mentions. The truck stops making you feel good after about 3 months. There's a concept called hedonic adaptation. You adjust to anything, no matter how exciting it initially feels. The first week, climbing into that cab feels incredible. You feel capable. You feel successful. You notice every detail, the leather, the dashboard lighting, the way other drivers look smaller in your rearview mirror. By month 3, it's just your car. You don't notice the seats anymore. You don't feel powerful. You feel normal. But the $1,729 monthly cost, that never adapts. That arrives every month with perfect consistency. You've traded permanent financial pressure for temporary emotional satisfaction, and once the satisfaction fades, all that's left is the pressure. Let's imagine two parallel versions of your life. In Universe A, you bought the $90,000 truck. After 7 years, you own a vehicle worth maybe $45,000. You have zero savings. You're still at the same job because you can't risk losing steady income. In Universe B, you bought the 3-year-old Toyota Camry and invested the $879 monthly difference. After 7 years, you own a car worth $12,000, but you also have $95,000 in investments. Which version is actually winning? Now, some of you are thinking, but I actually use my truck. I haul things, I help friends move, I tow. Okay, if that's genuinely true, if you're using the truck's capabilities multiple times per month for things that genuinely require a truck, then you're buying a tool. But be honest with yourself. Most truck owners use the bed 6 times a year, maybe 8. You could rent a U-Haul for $30 each time and save $73,000 over 7 years. You're not buying utility, you're buying an identity, and that identity was sold to you. The auto industry has spent billions convincing American men that truck ownership is connected to masculinity, to competence, to being a real man. The commercials show trucks climbing mountains, covered in mud, towing boats through wilderness. They don't show the reality. A guy in a business casual sitting alone in traffic, listening to a podcast while making a payment that's quietly eroding his financial future. The dealerships understand this perfectly. They don't care whether you can truly afford the truck. They care whether you qualify for financing. They sit you down and say, at 84 months, we can get you to $1,247 per month. Does that work? And you think, well, I make $7,000 a month gross, so yeah. You're not thinking about insurance, fuel, tires, registration. You're not thinking about the fact that you just committed 24% of your after-tax income for 7 years. You're thinking about how you'll look pulling into your driveway. Here's what I need you to understand. There is no hack. There's no loophole. There's no way to have the $90,000 truck and financial security at the same time. The math doesn't negotiate. That truck is a luxury item disguised as a necessity, and it will cost you somewhere between $80,000 and $100,000 more than a sensible alternative over 7 years. The only way to win is to stop playing the game entirely, not in a motivational sense. Literally, you have to opt out of the cultural story that says vehicle choice defines your capability. Here's what that actually looks like. You buy the most boring, reliable sedan you can find, a 3-year-old Honda Accord, a Toyota Camry. You pay cash, if possible. If not, you finance it over 36 months maximum, not 84. Your payment becomes $350 instead of $1,247. That's $900 per month you just gave back to yourself. You could invest it. You could build $95,000 over 7 years. But let's be realistic. You're human. You'll spend some of that money on things that make life better. A vacation, a nicer mattress, dinner with friends. The difference is those purchases don't come with a 7-year anchor. And when your buddy pulls up in his new Silverado and makes a comment about your cute little car, you'll smile because you know something he doesn't. You know his monthly payment is more than most people's rent. You know he's one unexpected expense away from financial collapse. You know that in 5 years, you'll have options and he'll still have payments. This is what dealerships don't want you to realize. Cars are not investments. They're not even assets. They're tools. And you don't buy a $90,000 hammer to hang a picture frame. The truck holds its value better than a sedan, right? That's the argument. Yes, a truck might lose 40% of its value in 5 years. A sedan might lose 55%. But you started at $90,000 versus $28,000. The truck lost $36,000. The sedan lost $15,400. You still lost more money. Percentage depreciation is meaningless when the absolute dollar loss is double. And the "I might need it" justification, you might need a lot of things: a motorcycle for lane splitting, a minivan for a hypothetical large family, a sports car for a track day that will never happen. We don't buy vehicles for scenarios with a 2% chance of occurring. We buy them for what we actually do 95% of the time. And 95% of the time, you're commuting alone on paved roads. So the real question is this: are you buying the truck because you need it or because you want to feel a certain way? If it's the second one, fine. Just be honest about it. Say, I'm spending $80,000 extra over 7 years to feel like the kind of person who owns a truck. Own that decision, but don't lie to yourself and call it practical. There's a term in economics, Veblenweds. These are products where demand increases as the price increases because ownership signals status. Luxury watches, designer handbags, and absurdly expensive pickup trucks that never leave pavement. You're not buying transportation. You're buying a signal that says, I can afford this payment, even though you actually can't. If you already own the truck and you're struggling to sell it, even if you're upside down on the loan, even if it feels like admitting defeat, you're not preserving pride. You're stopping financial damage. If you don't own one yet, but you're considering it, just don't. Test drive the boring sedan. It's comfortable, it's quiet, it gets you to work. And when you're sitting in traffic, you won't be doing mental math about whether you can afford your own vehicle. The auto industry built an empire, convincing you you're not enough unless you're driving their machinery. They weaponized insecurity and turned it into monthly payments. The only way to win is to see through it. You don't need the truck. You never did. What you need is margin in your budget, options in your career, and the ability to sleep at night. The boring sedan gives you that. The $90,000 truck takes it away. That's not losing. That's winning so clearly that most people can't even recognize it anymore because we've been trained to measure success by the size of our payments instead of the size of our freedom. If this shifts how you think about money, consider subscribing to REN Invest.
We publish one of these every week, each one designed to help you see the system more clearly. We break down financial psychology, not financial advice. We help you understand money so you can think long-term.